Okay, we're here for today's Tiger football report from preseason camp and head coach Mark Sartain. Coming off of the Tigers' first practice, full padded practice of the camp last night under the lights. Coach, there's always something different about football when you put on every single pad that you can and you get out there and you add that physical head-knocking kind of thing to it. How did your team respond under those circumstances last night at practice?
Well, it's the way NCAA has our practice scripted out, that we have to go one day, one per day for the first 5 days, what they call acclimatization. What it does is it really throws that hump day that we always used to know about when we were going 2 days every day. That Wednesday was always that fifth and sixth practice. Just so happens, doing it this way, one a day for the first 5 days, our first day of pads is the hump day practice. So we were a little flat last night, dead-legged, a little fatigue had set in. We'd initiated our in-season weight routine, that kind of thing. So, it was a little bit lethargic at first. The guys responded, though, we kind of regrouped after our individual stuff and talked to them for a couple of minutes about, why they're out there and why they play the game. And had a pretty, intense, heated team segment, and we were pleased with it. That's just the reality of the situation is the kids get tired, coaches get tired, and there's just that time, that lull, and that's you just have to fight through that. And it just happened to be that first day of full pads. So we still got a lot of good work done. The effort is still absolutely there. We were not having any problems with kids not competing. They were just a little out of gas. It's that time.
And being out to practice a little this morning, you guys actually didn't go your full pad deal this morning, but this will be your, first day of your first true two-a-day.
Right.
You went this morning, and you're going to go ahead again tonight. Are you going to be looking for some of that to see how they respond to that physical dead leg kind of thing and the turnaround aspect of that? Or
well, this morning's practice was intentionally low-key. Low impact. We were in shorts and shoulder pads. We could have been in full gear. We chose not to, just for the simple fact that we wanted to give them just a little breathing room, give them some time for their bodies to kind of recover. We still got work done. It was still full speed drill, but we pulled off on the contact. We only worked the group oriented and individual oriented segments, and we were reserving the 7-on-7s and the team stuff for tonight. So we basically crafted both practices distinctively different in tempo and emphasis. So tonight will be back to the full bore. Let's get it on and get it done, play the game the way it was intended to be played. And of course, we use this morning as a teaching opportunity also, because what a college team has to be able to do is we have to be able to practice at different tempos under different circumstances. And so we use this as a time to inform them, cause them to realize that we do actually intentionally practice low impact at times for particular reasons, and good teams need to be able to throttle down to that and then not let that carry over to the one that's not supposed to be low impact.
We talked a little bit last week about one of the strengths, obviously, of this football team this year is its veteran experience and leadership, but I also know that there are you go into every year in the back of your mind as a coach, there are some things maybe that you might be just a little bit concerned about until you actually get the guys here and working with them. What have you seen, maybe something over the first week here that before the guys got here and y'all went back to work, that you've been pleasantly surprised with, that you were hoping to see?
Well, I'm most pleasantly surprised, and we're not surprised, but very pleased to see that our upperclassmen, our leadership guys, came in with a mindset of let's go to work, and here's what it takes to get this done, and here's what we want to get done, so let's do it. They're holding each other accountable to that. I'm seeing a lot more players coaching players, and players calling players out when the effort might not be quite what it needs to be. That's very encouraging. We're developing some emotional bonds within the team. Guys getting closer together through duress, and so we're very pleasantly pleased with that. As far as a surprise, we really there's really not been a surprise with the returning players with our varsity team. We're where we thought we were. I mean, I believe we're accurately assessed that. Still kind of trying to find our way a little bit in the secondary. Becoming completely comfortable with coverage concepts, new concepts, and then how those fit together with the fronts and that sort of thing. But there's been some very pleasant surprises in the freshman class, the newcomers that are challenging some of our older guys for playing time. I mean, there's legitimate contention at several positions by freshmen that weren't expected to have to come in and play, that are still asserting themselves to the point where they've got to be considered.
Who are some guys, who have to this point maybe lived up or stood out a little bit to you, just either on or off the field, with some expectations and some roles, either whether it be on the field? Who are some guys that first week of camp that maybe some of the fans out there might recognize as has kind of stood out for you?
Well, our two safeties particularly stand out for me, Slim Muhammad and a young man named Dwayne Hamilton that was a wide receiver. Previously, we moved him in the spring to free safety. Those two guys have really come in, and with the kind of attitude, the kind of mentality, the leadership, the character, the work ethic, and just really, really noticeable on the field. And then our linebacker core, our returning two linebackers, and then Randy Rasmussen is our kind of our third guy right now. Is really having a good camp. But Jordan Hayes and John Chitty, our two starters from last year, flying around, fitting things up really nicely. Bring a lot of energy to our practice. Matt Tarver, our returning defensive end, led the conference in sacks. Matt is the consummate, lead with his example kind of guy. Extremely hard worker. He's a chain jerker when it needs to happen at his position. When we're kind of a little flat on the D-line, Matt's not afraid to speak and challenges his teammates to give a little bit better effort. So, those guys have stood out. Of course, Chance Johnson on the offensive line, our center, returning starter there. Our two quarterbacks are both doing a really good job. Our receiver core is just really, really talented and has a great attitude about things. It's a lot of times those skill positions have a tendency to be rivals for who gets this catch or that catch. I'm noticing our guys commending one another and being happy for their success, instead of that sort of that contentious relationship where if he caught it, that means I didn't. And we don't need that, and quite honestly, that's something that we've had to fight in the past from time to time. That real pleasantly surprised that that's not happening with this group.
Well, Coach, again, the Tigers will be out on the field again this evening for the second of their two practices today, and then hit it all again tomorrow. Coach, thank you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right.